Welcome back to Donnington for the second Lotus On Track Elise Trophy race of the weekend for the production class cars. We've just had Marcus Jewell there, number 70, take over the lead of the race from Martin Donnelly, who ran wide coming out of Goddard's. And not only is Jewell ahead, he's pulling away. As sad to say, Russ Treasure's continued bad luck in Lotus racing continues. He was running in the top 10, but now I'm afraid the rather smoky car is stranded by the side of the road. Yet again, Russ Treasure is out of the race, I'm afraid. No matter what he does, always a car, whether it's this one or his other car that he has to race, seems to let him down, and that was a rather frustrated shrug. What have I got to do to finish a race? Well, meantime, Marcus Jewell leads the way. We've lost Treasure, we've still got Jewell though, and he's up front, ahead of Martin Donnelly as they turn their way out of McLean's and go now up towards Coppice. The gap between them just a little wider than it was at the start of the lap now. Steve Williams here trying to work his way through from 30th on the grid. Williams still could be a dark horse, I reckon, for a race win. If there's a safety car in this to bunch them all up, he'll be thrown a lifeline. So Marcus Jewell, the race leader, makes his way now down towards Fogarty's, and he's still being chased hard by Martin Donnelly. But is Marcus Jewell going to be able to survive and hang on to a race win? Donnelly coming back at him then as they thread their way through Fogarty's and now sprint down towards the Melbourne hairpin once again. Donnelly, remember, with his Formula 1 experience for Lotus, having worked his way up through the single-seater ranks from Formula Ford 1600 to Formula Ford 2000 to Formula 3, shone in Formula 3000, and then made his Formula 1 debut. Well, he turns now out of the Melbourne hairpin, accelerates up towards the left-hander at Goddard's. He's not near enough yet to fight back in terms of Marcus Jewell's race lead, but if he's really heroic over the next lap or two, he might just get near enough. Out of Goddard's comes the Track Club backed car then in the hands of Marcus Jewell. Donnelly with a better line on this lap than a couple of laps ago when he lost the lead by running wide coming out of Goddard's. Goes through there now in second place. He's not yet close enough to make a move on Marcus Jewell. Much less experience as a racer and quite a lot of track days though, and he turns his way now onto the top of the Craner Curves, a little sideways out of Redgate there. Keeps his foot in though, and now sprints downhill once again. A replay here of earlier fun and games coming out of the Melbourne hairpin. A couple of the midfield runners getting a bit too close for comfort. And they weren't the only ones as well, as there was a bit more damage to be found lower down the field. A rather slow number 40 there is Simon Phillips' car, which looks like it's heading for retirement, coasting up now towards Coppice. And Simon Phillips, hand out of the window, indicator on, peels to one side, and that is his race, I'm afraid, at an end. Uses the full width of the runoff area there, parks up against the barrier, and so Simon Phillips' race is at an end. The man from Bloxham goes no further. Rob Anderson in the meantime comes to the Melbourne hairpin, and Marcus Jewell has had a moment. Now there is Jewell, look back on the inside, retaliating, but the man that led onto the lap out of shot has had a spin. So Marcus Jewell now getting himself back up the order. He's retaken one place, or has he? Because Rob Anderson tries to challenge on the inside coming into Goddard's. Jewell goes a little bit wide. Rob Anderson tries to hunt the inside line coming out of the corner, and Rob Anderson stays ahead. But all of this now means that Martin Donnelly has inherited the race lead. Nigel Ayres, number 4, turning his way out of the left-right flick through Fogarty's. Behind him there is Martin Rumble, number 87, as they head down now towards the Melbourne hairpin once again. So to recap, Marcus Jewell's spin has not only thrown him back down the order, it's given Martin Donnelly the race lead, and there, as Rumble outbreaks himself almost and goes wide coming into the Melbourne hairpin, back on the inside of him goes Nigel Ayres. There is Marcus Jewell coming out of Redgate, then he's ahead this time of Rob Anderson. Right with them once more is Ken Savage as well. Closing up on the whole gaggle of leading cars from 30th on the grid is Steve Williams, as the leaders now turn their way once more from the old hairpin up towards Schwantz Curve. Martin Donnelly it is then who leads the way, and Marcus Jewell now having to really work overtime to keep Rob Anderson behind him. He had to work hard to get ahead of him for the second time in the race, but now Marcus Jewell, having had that spin, effectively throwing away a possible race win, is doing his level best to keep Rob Anderson behind him. Then it's Ken Savage, then Martin Robertson, this man Steve Williams then in the top 6, heading up now towards the right-hander of Coppice. Makes his move on the inside of Martin Roberts, uses a bit of curb there, doesn't quite gain the place. Comes out of the corner on the tail of Roberts then now down towards the left and right of Fogarty's. If he gets a good run in a straight line here, Williams ought to be able to try to make a move. Now somebody there having had a drama. Back onto the circuit now is Dani Golubovic, one of the Lotus engineer come drivers, having only his second car race, having a moment, I think it was going through the Craner Curves there. Rob Anderson in the meantime is keeping at bay the yellow car of Ken Savage as they wriggle their way from Fogarty's down towards the Melbourne hairpin. So Martin Donnelly, the race leader, looking pretty strong up front. 20 minutes of racing rather than a set number of laps. So the way that he's going now, Donnelly's suggesting he might get 2 more out of this. Marcus Jewell hanging on to second, Rob Anderson for third, fourth, Ken Savage and Steve Williams there, look, about to go fifth in the second of the yellow perils coming out of the hairpin. He now makes the run up towards the left-hander of Goddard's. He's on the outside line though there, going into the corner, so Martin Roberts will brave it out with him on the inside, turns his way through the left-hander. Roberts stays ahead of Williams. Past the pits now, on board with Williams. He's in the wheel tracks of Martin Roberts. He's inching up onto the back of him. There's a gap on the inside. This should give Steve Williams the place now, diving down towards Redgate. Remember, he's worked his way through from 30th on the grid. Another place gain then. Steve Williams now up into the top 5 as the cars blast downhill once more towards the old hairpin. But Martin Donnelly now looking as though a race win may well be heading in his direction. Through the old hairpin, race leader turns. There's second, Marcus Jewell. Third is Rob Anderson. In fourth place is Ken Savage as the cars climb their way now through Schwantz Curve and up towards McLean's corner. But again, released from behind Martin Roberts. Steve Williams is absolutely charging. It's not going to be long before we've got the 2 yellow cars together there. The first of them is that of Ken Savage, and reeling him in now, Steve Williams. Rob Anderson there goes through in third place. And Marcus Jewell unable to do anything about Martin Donnelly now, unless Martin has a moment, turns his way out of the right-hander of Coppice, about to make the run down once more towards Fogarty's. There going through is Ken Savage, and Steve Williams is getting closer and closer all the time. Behind them is Martin Roberts, who's losing touch a little bit now. Marcus Jewell turning his way then down towards the left and right flick at Fogarty's. David Alexander ahead, getting all sideways. Alexander spins. Marcus Jewell goes through, Anderson goes through, and David Alexander rejoins, but that's dropped him now down to behind Martin Roberts. So as they accelerate towards the Melbourne hairpin, another place is gained for Steve Williams therefore. Next target remains Ken Savage, but of course he's benefited a little bit out of all of that, courtesy of the demise of David Alexander, who I think got himself onto a rather gravelly approach to Fogarty's, came in a bit too quickly, just lost control of the car, round it went. And so David Alexander has spun himself down the field now. He benefited initially from the spin that we didn't see from Marcus Jewell, but that, I'm afraid, rather evens the balance between the two of them. So Martin Donnelly comes through. It looks as though a race win. He's going to head his way. He starts the last lap now, looking at the clock, down towards Redgate corner. Yes, there's less than a lap time left in the race. Marcus Jewell second, Rob Anderson third, Ken Savage fourth, and Steve Williams in fifth place now. Into Redgate they go. Now, can Rob Anderson do anything about gaining another place out of the race before the very end? Marcus Jewell really frustrated, having led early on, spinning himself out of contention. Second looks as though it's going to be as good as it gets for him as he turns his way now down through the Craner curves once again. Rob Anderson looks for the inside line there, but moving across on him is Marcus Jewell, who goes very rapidly into the old hairpin, misses the apex, runs wide up onto the curb there, up onto the dirt, gets sideways, it flicks left, it flicks right, he spins, and Marcus Jewell, I'm afraid, is going to end up staring the wrong way if he's not careful. The front comes round on him. But while Marcus Jewell is trying to recover from the grass down at the old hairpin, everybody else goes streaming past him. Here's the replay, runs wide, too fast into the old hairpin, up onto the dirt, loses traction, loses the back of the car. It pendulums round on him, and Marcus Jewell spins his way onto the grass. He's going to be able to rejoin, probably in midfield, just looking at the way other cars are positioned around the circuit. So, what, 14th, 15th place perhaps for Marcus Jewell. We'll check them off at the end of this last lap as they come across the timing line. Steve Williams, though, still looking for a podium. He's right on the tail of Ken Savage. Martin Donnelly, remember, there he is. He's good for the race win. In second place, coming into view now, is Rob Anderson. Well, he was second on the road in race 1, but was promoted to the race winner after Mick Edwards was disqualified. But a win and a second today is not a bad start to motor racing for Rob Anderson. Ken Savage third, just about fending off Steve Williams for fourth place, as now Martin Donnelly turns his way out of Goddard's up towards the checkered flag, and it's going to be a race win then for the former Lotus Grand Prix racer. Martin Donnelly scores victory here at Donnington Park. He comes across the line now to win in the Lotus on-track Elise Trophy. Second across the line is Rob Anderson. For third place, just Ken Savage. And fourth goes the way of Steve Williams from 30th on the grid. Fifth across the line is Martin Roberts, and David Alexander after his spin is sixth. Seventh, Hans Baumhart ahead of Andrew Kell, and then John Lamaster. And Marcus Jewell makes it across the line down after his two spins in 13th. So confirmation of the way they come across the line. Martin Donnelly the winner by over 5 seconds. Grand Prix driver beats novice Rob Anderson in his third ever car race. Is second ahead of Ken Savage. Steve Williams fourth from 30th on the grid.
Martin, you're now free to drink that, having finished the day's racing, and a great win, but I think Marcus gave you that.
I think Marcus, good competitor, but having done a bit of a track even with him on Friday night, you could see that he had suffered from a touch of red mist, and I just tried to keep the pressure on as much as I could. He had it in the bag, I wasn't going to get to him. Then all of a sudden, I think he went into the chicane, the clutch up too quickly, lifted off, and I ran away. I went, oops, unlucky, and went, thank you very much, I'll take that. And then I seen him coming back at me afterwards again, and I thought, I seen him have a bit of misdemeanor with the guy in the silver car, there it was, and then last lap he was gone. So thank you very much. So thank you, Steve. Sorry, Marcus, for the bottle of champagne, and I'll drink it thinking of you.
Rob, I mean, from a race win and second position, what a weekend for you.
Just saying, just unbelievable to be racing with Martin Donnelly in your novice. It's lost for words. Fantastic fun.
It certainly is. Pretty cool, huh?
There's nothing more I can say apart from, I would say, a thanks to all the marshals and stuff. It's been fantastic. Being waved in, it's brilliant. They do a great job.
Ken, another big smile on your face. It's been a great day for you.
It's been a fantastic day, yes. A second and a third now, so brilliant. Really enjoyed it.
And the race was certainly full of surprises for everybody out there.
It was close, shall we say? Close, yeah.
You enjoyed it all round?
Absolutely. No, it's great day. Really enjoyed myself. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Well
Cheers.
done. So that's it from the Lotus on Track Elise Trophy here at Donnington this weekend. A fantastic day's racing all round for everybody involved in the production series. We'll see you next time.